Okay, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to our meeting today. I'm going to open the meeting, and I'd like an approval of the minutes for October 22nd, please. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The treasurer's report, Glenn, and anything we need to know on that?
No, I don't really have anything specific to update on that unless there's.
Yeah, I got a couple of
questions.
questions for you. On the invoices, there's a line item where we sent out a check for $172,000, but I didn't see any income come in to offset that. The other big checks that went out, I saw income coming in to offset it.
Okay, yes, that is from the payment agreement we have with DRNC for their back pilot payments.
Right.
So they come in at 25,000 and change each month when we get to the amount necessary to cover. So this was 2019. This was 2019 pilot payments that were due to the school.
Yeah,
So now the school is all current.
okay.
We just did one for the town, right?
I didn't see a
School.
town
Okay, no,
one.
that was previous to this. So we'll have one more that'll go to the town, then the county, and then we should be all caught up.
There was some that went to the county if it was related to that, but yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, so that's what it's an accumulation
Right.
of the funds when we
The
reach
other one
them
that
out.
was for Sydney Bainbridge and the village, I could put all that math together.
Yeah,
It
that
all
was
worked.
for Amphenol,
Right.
their payment coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, so for those two, we have a pilot income and a pilot expense account where they come in and go out.
Yep, okay.
When did you say that was 2020?
2019.
That was 19.
Yeah, so we entered into an agreement with them since 2020. They've been paying on time, but the agreement covers 18 and 19.
So for 20, they're current.
Yep,
So that's it.
yes, yep. Okay. So on the treasurer's report,
Tab, thanks for adding the numbers down the side here. Now we can speak to the code. So
yeah,
are
so
7 and 8 communicating with you at all?
oh, just one last thing on the treasurer's report. In the savings account, this happened just last week, so I don't believe it's on there, the sale of the Walton Industrial Park. So we closed on the sale of the 1 acre lot in the Walton Industrial Park to Jonathan Kramer, who bought Mike Stulebros's location as well. So we finally closed on that one.
Okay.
So in that we netted like $9,400. So it's not materially different.
The same person bought both lots?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see. Other than that, I didn't have anything to add on the treasurer's report.
Okay. You want to go right through the loan report as well?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so number 6, just it's typical, nothing, no concerns there. 7 and 8, we're working with. And we have been in conversations. We had a presentation earlier this spring on that. And the revenues that were projected did not come to fruition as thought. And the owner continues to make improvements and had some difficulty paying for those improvements and keeping the cash flow consistent, given the lower than projected revenues. there was, she's working on bringing in some of her private equity to handle that cash flow issue, and will get us caught up.
Did you get out and look at inventory?
Not inventory specific.
Okay,
We were waiting on some documents from her.
Yeah.
And then I think her whole shop had to get shut down for sickness.
okay,
So she, was dealing with some other stuff. The whole one initiative, I know that she's raising a lot of prices.
They just reopened yesterday.
Okay.
How long were they shut down for?
10 days?
10 days, I think. I couldn't remember, it was 2 weeks or 10 days.
Yeah. So number 13,
It's
Evan,
completely caught up.
oh, good,
I've got to check for all those amounts.
good. I was gonna tell you, I thought that was just a case of laziness. Or not paying attention,
yeah,
one or the other.
yeah.
I don't think it's not a cash issue. I think it's just getting around to it.
Give it to Dennis.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They,
he just lost a lot of clients. A
yeah,
lot of it's on, you have to pay cash.
Oh,
yeah, they dropped a
Just
major
give it to
insurance
Dennis.
provider
Yeah.
because they just got sick of dealing with them. And now, if you have that insurance and want to keep going, it's cash now.
so this is a transition period.
It's
Okay,
transition period.
But he's been going through this for 6 months or so. It's been a while like this. And so hopefully he's pulling it around right now.
yeah, okay.
Dennis, we'll get you a copy of this.
That was kind of cheap.
Well, yeah, I know.
What about 16? Is he making headway on the sale?
Yes, so 16 did make a payment earlier this month,
Yeah,
a full payment. Still, there's, a significant balance.
10 times.
Yes. Yeah, so 10% down, that's common in
right.
industry
It
standard.
is,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So yes, so we've talked about that previously. There is a court situation going on regarding their ability to sell their assets. That there were motions filed, which initially my impression was that was going to resolve the issue. But no, those motions resulted in a court date being set where the issue should be resolved. So I don't know when that court date is. Do you?
I don't think they know either because they got caught up in the return.
Right, and so the judge retired, so now there'll be a new judge coming on, so, around and around.
Nice.
But I do still get contact through Empire State Development. The business that is interested in purchasing that is chomping at the bit.
Good, good.
But, there's a concern how long that will last, but he has continued to look and hasn't found a better alternative. So,
Is there any way to create some kind of a operating agreement so that you lock the buyer down? George, there's gotta be a way to do that.
Yeah.
There was a thing on Facebook or something, or I saw it in the Hancock Herald somewhere, they're hiring.
Yeah.
That's
Hiring.
good.
yeah, well, they're still trying to operate their
Yeah, I
business.
wondered if this other guy was part of that issue, that they were needing more people. Because I think he was down to like 15,
Yeah, he was down to
Yeah.
15.
and traditionally we were like 25, 26.
I talked to him about 2 weeks ago and said that they had started orders and started to pick up again. But he's just, it's all tied up in the estate.
They faced with any supply issues as far as getting material to make what they need?
Not real, not that I know.
Lucky him.
But I think it's just this estate is a real mess. And it's
Just gotta go through the process.
And unfortunately, it's not likely to resolve quickly. And so getting this guy in on an operating agreement.
Yeah.
Benefit everybody.
And the buyer, the potential buyer is aware of the estate situation, so,
Mhm.
so far. I
That protects the
very
buyers, so
interesting.
Right.
gives them some,
Yeah.
and prevents them to
Yes.
continue looking
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Now, that's for the lawyers to figure out, knowing what the situation is.
Okay, number 17. They recently made a payment and there's being a month behind is not atypical. It's, we've been in contact with them recently because they had fallen a little further behind. One payment behind is not necessarily atypical. Number 19, Evan, do you have news on
Yep,
that?
Still on the market. He said a couple of people interested, but it's just slow season, for real estate. This
What's
time-
it-
this
what's it
time of
on?
the year, not, but he said that he will be sending, he'll start sending some payments.
What's it on the market for?
I thought it was 299 or something like that.
George, is that close to reasonable?
No, maybe it's a little high in the price because the market is there. We're showing stuff every day and with the weather changing, I mean, it was nice yesterday, but look at today. These people are coming, and I must think that a lot of it's got to do with this virus. Upsurge, it's gonna start sending the people again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, Equinix just went in and paid $300,000 for 5 acres, so they're doing really good. They overpaid, but
Morning, Kevin.
He's on mute. You're muted, Kevin.
Hi. How you doing?
Kevin, we're just finishing up one thing and then we'll go right into executive session and
Okay.
cover that.
Evan, do you have the ability to suggest maybe the price is a little stiffer than the market right now?
But you would.
Yeah, now is it strictly for sale by owner or does he have it listed?
It's listed, I forget who. I wish I could find it.
Yeah, but even if the price is too high, if someone would make an offer for
Yeah.
an interesting property.
Right.
Well,
Unless
that's
something's wrong
time,
with it.
time will tell.
Right.
And he has renovated it, rooms to it. Since he upgraded it.
Okay.
Member of the public, Sarah M.
Okay, that's it for the IDA.
Yeah, you want to just quickly do the other,
Any questions on the LDC?
okay, oh, do we not have numbers on the LEC?
Yeah.
There.
Oh, not on my version.
None of my version.
That's really too bad.
Okay, well, there's only 3 in the bad column. So the first one is no issue we've talked about before. The next one down, Evan, did you have a chance to call?
I think they're just really busy. I couldn't even get anyone on the phone, which is rare. They usually get back to me. So I just think they're really busy.
Because that's 2 in the same industry. One on this report, one on the other report. It's not anything
And I
industry specific.
talked directly to the owner in Delaware.
Mhm.
And he told me that they're just flat out
Okay,
crazy busy.
all right.
It's a huge market right now.
Yep. Oh, and then the last one on the column, we're gathering some additional details and we're probably going to start working on some negotiated settlement on that.
Mhm.
We don't have a specific proposal to bring before the board, just it's not going to be 100.
That's the one where they don't have the collateral anymore.
Yeah.
They have, the guy has an attorney now. And he has accepted the liability in regards to the collateral. We're researching why they think they don't have it on the second. So we just have some work. So for one of them, which would be, I believe, I'm on there. A little bit more than half of the amount. I think that's, that's
Subject to
a certain-
discussion.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then the remainder of it is where we have to do some background on our side and then touch with him and his attorney and work something out.
Who are we using as our attorney?
Haven't yet, but I'll bring in Carly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
his
once we get
attorney?
to a deal. I don't know.
Didn't mention it.
Yeah. He didn't mention who his attorney was. We haven't had any direct, he's meeting with his attorney and contacting us. Kevin and Kurt are talking back and forth.
I don't think he's local anymore.
Yeah, I don't think they live here.
All right, can I have a motion to accept the three
Do
financial
have
claims?
one more, the very bottom. It's
Did I
not
miss
in
it?
the no amount past due, but number 45 made 4 payments in September.
Oh, yes, yeah.
A buyer just signed a contract.
This is the business over in Andy's.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay,
So that's great news. And
It
on a
is.
good note,
Yeah, and we have first mortgage.
Hmm.
great. Okay, can I have a motion to accept the
So moved.
three financial?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, welcome. We're gonna go into executive section. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
For what
I think-
purpose?
To discuss legal issues, litigation, potential litigation. All right, we're back from executive session and I would like to have a motion
Yeah,
based on the discussion that we had.
yep, a motion to exchange the IDA's pump station and pipeline assets to the Sewer Works Corporation for 200 shares of common stock in the Sewer Works
So
Corporation.
moved.
Second. Oh, Mike got it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Okay. Site development updates.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Sheffield Estates?
Sheffield Estates, we're starting to get interest in the property. We've got a couple of different businesses that have wanted to look at it and have gone with me to check it out. Nothing really has happened yet, but I think there's potential there. I talked to Larry Schaefer about clearing it and so forth, and he convinced me that it would be in our best interest just to leave it as is with the brush and the grass and weeds and so forth for the winter.
Mhm.
Because if you clear more, I didn't know that if you clear more than an acre of land, you have to reseed it over the winter anyway with a cover crop. And then in the spring, you're gonna tear it all back up again. So that didn't
Mhm.
make any sense at all.
What's our liability with the foundation?
The foundations, I hired a contractor to go down and he put metal stakes around all of the foundations with yellow caution tape. So at least they're marked
Mhm.
as a hazard.
Should we consider putting fencing around it? I mean, they ride snowmobiles through there. I mean, it's been that way for years now.
I know, I understand.
Yeah, and at least now it's marked.
Right.
I mean, I talked to the code enforcement officer and he was perfectly satisfied with the
Okay.
caution tape and the metal posts.
Do we have any idea of any housing component to that area? I got contacted by a Katie Taggart who was
Yes.
interested in. some
We all
housing
have.
too, right? Okay, perfect. Thought I
She
wasn't
wants
the
to
only one.
put a trailer park in there. For low income housing. I told her, we listened to offers, but we normally don't do that. She didn't think I was.
They're
telling her the
prohibited
truth.
in the village.
What?
I think they're prohibited in the village.
No, they're not, because we have the senior park over by the high school that's single wide trailers for people over 55.
Might be grandfathered.
Well,
I'll check,
Bruce Pearson
but
put
it
it
doesn't
in.
matter.
Yeah, it's not
But-
something we're gonna.
We're not, I'm not interested. in-
Send me an email if you do find that it's,
No,
Yeah, this is
not
prime real
allowed.
estate, should be selling for 100,000 an acre or
Right.
something, we're gonna put a bunch of trailers in there.
well,
Or one of the ideas was a fish farm.
the point still is, do we have an idea that part of it is commercial and part of it is residential?
We have to go have the zoning change back, don't we?
And maybe change.
Determine that.
It all has been, from zoning standpoint, it all has been changed back to commercial.
Commercial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we still have to undo the homeowners association.
Right.
Right.
And then because it's currently 62 or 63
62.
separate lots, we will then have to go through some sort of
The plan-
boundary line adjustment
Right, planning
process at a
board,
minimum.
Right. like the lines up.
Yeah,
Put it back together.
yeah, so there's still a lot of pieces to work out before, you know, it's really marketable land and we can come up with a concise plan for it.
Mhm.
The housing side, the one unit that we have there, I was there yesterday. And I took down 3 gallons of antifreeze and dumped antifreeze down all the tracks. Because there's no heat, electricity, there's no utilities on it. And it was winterized in 2018. But I just decided that it needed a little extra protection. So a few bucks, it was worth doing. I took care of that yesterday.
What's the total acreage that we have now?
It's 13 acres roughly, plus or minus a little bit. Yeah.
And I did, one of the people that I met with was Bob Fiddy. And Bob is interested in using some of the existing foundations. And he's talking about doing a multi-family apartment building
Oh, really?
with at least 4, maybe 6 apartments in it. And he owns 5 acres adjoining it, which is talking about using, reversing the entrance to the apartment building and having the access from his 5 acres and the parking in his 5 acres. So I've got him talking to Josh Morgan, the code enforcement officer now.
That just seems rough if you're gonna put industry there.
What's that?
Just seems rough if you're gonna put industry in front of it or behind it.
Bob thought that with adequate screening and so forth. I mean, if you look at it, there's quite a growth of brush there already and trees.
Right. There is.
That could be, I mean, thinned out and the majority of them could be left right behind that fence. And I think you could, if you landscape, just do the landscaping right by selectively removing stuff.
And Bob's smart enough to know whether he could fill his housing development if there was a manufacturer there.
He felt
So we
great
got
work.
work
He
on
felt comfortable with that.
And he does great work and he's done a lot for the community there.
So that's where we're at with Sheffield.
Good.
Glenn, you want to talk about 9 Meredith?
So 9 Meredith, we're working with the attorneys on a sales contract. It's just being slowed up because attorneys are busy, and the sales contract will have the purchase price as well as the swap lot included in it. You know, everything was done regarding engineering to satisfy the purchaser that he could do what he wanted there. We are both waiting on work to be done by the surveying company, JH&A. We both have proposals. The IDA needs to do a boundary line adjustment. And the future owner needs some other work done as well, including topo survey and stuff like that. So this engineer can move forward. So by the end of the year, at this point in time, I think by the end of the year that sale will go through.
Good.
We did have interest in our new lot up on, well, what would become our new lot further up on Meredith Street. But animal hospitals are forbidden in the village, so that's not gonna happen. Okay. Okay.
Isn't the big idea though, there is possibly a,
Housing development.
yeah, and that would be the entrance, that'd be the.
Yeah, but there's multiple avenues for that. In my mind, that lot, it has 3 sections to it. It has the corner of Delview Terrace Extension and 28, which I believe should be commercial, retail, professional, something. Then there's the hands-off spot because of the wetlands. And then there's another spot basically of equal, all 3 pieces are roughly of equal size. And then there's kind of no man's land. In my mind, that's the perfect entrance because from a planning perspective, you wouldn't want the entrance close to the intersection of 28 and Delview Terrace, and then having people making a quick turn that way or coming out. It would, so it just makes planning sense to have it back further more towards where the chiropractor is. Yeah. So I think it can all work.
Is there a possibility of working with the village on a variance for that corner of that,
Variance for,
the veterinarian? At the end of the
no. It's well, maybe, but it's a prohibited use.
Yes, you could ask for a variance, but you can't.
Yeah, you could ask for it,
Can't
but by
justify it.
strict guidelines, they shouldn't grant it because it's so hard to really get a variance for a use. A use variance is you've got to prove that it was not of your own making, all this stuff. Well, you knew before you purchased it that you couldn't do it there. Well, that kicks your argument out the window,
They need a lot more space than's probably there too.
Yeah, it was gonna be shoved in there. We were gonna have to use every buffer area as parking to be able to accomplish. So I'm still working with that person. I just think they've got ample room to do what they want at their current location. But, okay, so project updates. So Tiberio Custom Meats, it was up last weekend. He did a meat cutting demonstration. And he had an investor he wanted to do it to, and he had a local farmer, a representative from WAC. There was a number of people who were additionally supposed to come, didn't. I attended on behalf of us here. And I had a friend of mine come with me. He's in the hog business formerly, and has a lot of close contacts with the local ag industry. And I'll just sum it up by quoting him. He's like, Glenn, I really learned a lot today. I'm not sure what I learned, but I know I learned a lot. It was very interesting. He's a great butcher, knows how to maximize the cuts of meats and the value of an animal. But he and I are taking a break, and we got to get back together and talk about how things went. He can add value to an animal, but he's got to be able to readily explain both to the farmer and the farmer's customer how he's adding that value. Because otherwise, he's competing strictly with, existing slaughterhouses on a cost basis. And if he's like, oh, well, I'm 25 cents more a pound, and, instead of, getting, 500 pounds of cut meat, you're only gonna get 450, but you're better off in the end. Well, nobody's gonna sign up for that. So there's a lot of stuff he has to do. I still think he's got a model that would be very successful, but he's just got to prove how he's adding value. And that's tough.
So where are we looking at?
So his preferred spot is still in Roxbury. I wanted to do a map, but commit has been down for the last couple days. Get the 404 error.
There's an updated link. It's not that.
Oh, okay. So there's a new link. All right. So that's on me then. So there is this piece of property in Roxbury I mentioned in the last meeting. He's now seen it. He's very interested in a portion of it. I've spoken to Kevin. You do have to apply to DEP to be able to tie into the sewer that's there. One question I had is, and I don't know if you know, does Roxbury have water also?
I think so.
I don't think so either. So that may or may not be an issue, and then still have to work with the property owner. I spoke to him once, and I've tried to reach out to him a couple times. I only had his cell phone number. I'm just gonna put something in writing to him, just to see if we can start talking about whether it would be a match or not. I don't have really anything prepared to bring to you guys on that, still that it's a work in progress. So yeah, his first plan would be Roxbury. His second is he's potentially interested in a portion of Sheffield Estates. American Rescue Plan, that should actually come in under the LDC. I had a separate line under there. Loan conversions, this should be our last year of, we had that program issue with our loan funds that were funded by HUD under the IDA over whatever number of years. This is our last round of loans that would be converted to grants. Evan and Kelly are working on that, and we will have a list of businesses and the amounts to be forgiven for the December meeting.
And it could potentially be this total that's here.
No, no, so it's existing loans that are outstanding. We've taken them off of our loan report just because we're not collecting anything from them. So they don't even show up on the financials here. Yeah, so that the money that's in, that HUD loan fund, that was pre-existing. That was direct from the federal government.
Right.
It was the ones that were given to, now that we applied for through the state, that were those pass-through ones. That was like, what, 1.4 million that we had to use or lose. So we had a bunch of loans that we forgave, and now we have a bunch of grants that are being converted to loans. And they don't show up on there.
Right, I did jot down the number before I left quickly, so about, if you want.
Yeah.
638,000.
Say that phrase again, how you convert a grant to a loan.
Convert a loan to a grant. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Yeah. Yeah.
We're the wrong business.
Well, if we could convert grants to loans, we'd be much better off. Yeah.
Love you, Glenn.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have that in
I
December.
think I'm not listening.
So Glenn, this will be the last round that we'll have.
This will be the last, and then we're all done. Yeah. That's all I had under that.
Any other old and new business for the IDA? Then can I have a motion will adjourn this one.
So moved.
Second.
you. We'll open the meeting for the LDC. I gotta, we'll run through the housekeeping stuff quick, like draft minutes approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's, the 3 financial reports approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, more project updates, IRPs, number 5.
Still just waiting.
Yeah, no, we rushed through to have that so we could close right away and yeah, we haven't heard anything back since then. Yeah, so still waiting on the federal government. I know that's unheard of.
For, 750.
Yes, 750,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Hidden in grant, you know, as we discussed at the last meeting, the LDC agreed to be the pass-through for that grant. The preliminary application was submitted yesterday. I expect to hear back either this afternoon or Monday on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I've talked to them a couple times on this project. They really like the project. He said the only thing that could delay him might be holidays. Oh, and what's next week? Thanksgiving holiday. So, you know, maybe not. But we're probably, I'm almost halfway through the final application as well. So, you know, I expect that everything for that will be submitted before our next IDA meeting. It's 100.
Paid Tate and updated the total amount of the grant you went after to make all that math work.
Yes,
Okay.
so the way it would be is the Hidden in LLC, which will own the property. They have a loan commitment from Delaware National Bank for $220,000.
Yep.
Well, a loan and a line of credit, totaling $220,000. They'll be putting in $134,000 of equity, cash. And then we're applying for $100,000 grant. 98,000 will go to the project, 2,000 will go to cover any costs incurred by the town of Stamford and or the LDC.
Okay.
And that's where that's.
He went and borrowed the money, eh?
What's that?
He went and borrowed the money.
He's got a commitment to it. We won't close on it until we know about the grant.
What grant are you applying for, Glenn?
The Office of Small Business Assistance Grant through the Office of Community Renewal. Train to Work initiative, that's the American Rescue Fund one that I said should have been down below. So that is going to be recommended for approval by the Rescue Fund Committee to the Board of Supervisors for the December meeting to provide $350,000 to the LDC to do the Train to Work initiative. Of that 350,000, 300 would be geared towards on-the-job training for businesses and the people getting the jobs. And then 50,000 would go towards covering contractor-related costs for doing the work. And you know, any expenses incurred by the LDC for program. But I think it's basically the cost to contract with somebody to do the work. That wouldn't come under different operations. So I've thrown some guidelines out there in the thing. That was a past version. Evan and I and a couple people from the Office of Employment and Training went through and reviewed it, and we made a decent amount of changes. And I just haven't gotten that final version back yet. But it does kind of give an idea of how it's going to work. You know, I don't know what more can you say. It's an on-the-job training program. You hire somebody, you develop a training program. As they're going through it, you get reimbursed for a portion of their wages. We did throw in an additional component. Oh, and by this, anybody is eligible, but we're specifically targeting businesses with 25 or fewer employees. But anybody is eligible to apply.
Is that a guideline that we set, or is that a guideline that?
That was a guideline we set, because there is OJT funding available through the CDO workforce, which is the Workforce Investment Board that services our area. They're very paperwork intensive, but the larger companies utilize that program. A lot of the smaller companies won't utilize that program because it's so admin heavy. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you need a human resources department to be able to get through that program. So we're trying to gear this for the smaller guys. And then, yeah, so that's kind of where we're heading with that. So we're hoping to have this up and running in January. So if you have a chance and you're interested, you go through the guidelines. You know, if you have any comments or questions or suggestions, let me know. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Will you be sending out the new version? I read the first version, but.
Yeah, as soon as I get it, I will. And but honestly, at this point, I was supposed to have it this week. Well, I guess this week isn't over yet. So yeah, so there's still time.
Till 6 tonight.
I went through that and I think it's a great program. I really am impressed with that. One thing that I saw that I didn't notice, and it's probably more appropriate to be in the contract with the employer, but is there going to be a hold harmless agreement and indemnification of the county and the LDC?
Oh, yeah. Yep, yeah, that'll be in the specific contract language. Yeah, we've got boilerplate language for that we'll use that we use for all our grants and stuff like that.
Yeah, then you're furnishing employees that could get sticky.
This will work good with the meat plants that we're supposedly trying to get going.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna have to train a lot of people.
Yeah. And then under CARES Act, I discussed this with my committee earlier this week. So when I was talking to the state in regards to the hidden in, the Office of Community Renewal, the guy that we deal with there, who's the head of that side of things, basically pitched me the idea of submitting an application for up to $2 million of funding for grants for businesses in Delaware County. He basically said, this is all CARES Act funding, and they're going to provide as much leeway on the rules as possible to consider things. So for example, like the Hidden In project, that has to meet a guideline of 1 job created per every $25,000 of grant funds. They said through this CARES Act money, they'll go for 1 job for every $85,000 of grant funds. It has to benefit, the jobs have to benefit people of low to moderate income. What they said is, if there's you know, a 2-person household, but one of them is to be low income in Delaware County and a household of 1, you have to have less than $22,460 of annual income. Let's say you have a job, whether it's part-time or full-time, where you make $20,000. Doesn't matter that your spouse makes 100. They'll look solely at your income and determine that you're based on your private income, you are now low to moderate income eligible. So it just makes it much more wide open in terms of the types of people you can hire and things of that nature. So Evan and I didn't get a chance to talk about that because we talked about a different grant program that we're looking to do. But yeah, so it's a combination of businesses that are experiencing growth or are starting as a result of changes to the economy related to COVID, and or businesses that were hurt by COVID. So one of the things he mentioned And I have to meet with Evan and then I'm gonna schedule a conference call with this guy for the first week in December to clarify. Because he was just saying so many crazy things, I just couldn't believe him at the time. One of the things that they were thinking of is like a working capital grant for businesses that lost money during COVID. So if you lost money during COVID, and after you take into account PPE and all these other stimulus programs, restaurant recovery, if you still had a loss, they would consider a program that provided a portion of that loss back to the company as working capital in 2022. So presumably they could focus on moving their business forward rather than having to be constrained by recouping all of their losses. So it's kind of crazy, but and we're going to try to figure it out and try to act quickly on it.
So it's individual income, not household.
Yeah, so it basically turned to individual income, not household. Yeah. Because, and that would help in a lot of areas, because let's say, I'll just give an example, if there's, if you're, say, a middle-class household, but one of the spouses is returning to the workforce, typically in order to be low to moderate income, you either have to meet the income guidelines or be going for jobs that require no education and no experience. But with this, somebody who has a lot of income has whatever level of education and whatever level of experience would still be an eligible hire for a business, because you could just go solely by their personal income. So when we're working with businesses, the jobs that we generally count are the entry-level jobs. Now, this could be for a project where business isn't creating entry-level jobs, is creating quality, higher quality jobs. And yet that we can still get those jobs covered too. It's a little bizarre the way they're doing it, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
We sent out an email to all of our business customers on yesterday it was. It's called the New York State COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program, done by ESD. And depending on what your gross was, you could get a grant of up to $50,000 by proving that your 19 gross was more than your 20 gross. And then you get an award.
Right, and they changed the
There's a lot of
guidelines
money
on
out
that.
there.
It used to be that if you got, I don't know what the earlier benchmark was, but if you got any, or you got more than 50,000 of PPE, you were ineligible. They raised that limit up to
Yes.
250,000 of PPE. So PPP,
Not
yes.
personal protective equipment, but paycheck protection
Program, yes. So, yeah, floodgates are open. I wonder
Right.
why there's inflation.
Just printing more money.
Yeah.
Scott, can you
Yeah.
send me that information?
Yep.
Yeah, so Evan worked with one company on that and I worked with another one. Well, when it first came out, Evan called everybody. Put it out on all of our social media. And we did end up working with a couple. But I forgot to sit down with you maybe later today. Did we do anything after the guidelines changed?
No.
So we might want to.
But yeah, and especially now, because they're doing a
Thanks.
push for ag businesses and farms.
Right.
That's going out.
Yeah, so they are doing a big push for ag-related businesses for this, and you're pushing something out on that, and so.
Being a conduit to get folks to look at all this stuff is part of our mission, and it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
We don't do the application for them, we
Yeah.
as IDA, but each individual business does. Just making them aware of it is awesome.
Right.
Well, we actually offered, if they need help with it, we offered can't come in and tool and took us up on it.
Well, some of the stuff that you share with the chamber, you get that Monday morning chamber newsletter comes out on the email, and it's listed in there, these different programs. And I keep shoving that over to the local businesses that are in my town, going, you know, you gotta figure out where these things are, but here's start of the information, you know?
Yeah.
Because we don't have any other way of pushing it out, really.
Right.
Would that help the business out on 28? The food stand. Nicole.
Sierra,
It goes by tax returns. So, and I don't know.
I don't know where she was in 19.
Yeah.
Versus 20, right? I would guess her 20 tax return had a bigger gross than her 19.
That's what I kind of think.
Yeah.
It'd be just my
Because
guess.
I thought 19 was a loss.
Yeah.
And if you have a loss, then you're ineligible.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and at least when it first came out with the first guidelines, I definitely went over it and gave it to her. But at that point, she was saying, the person was saying that they had too good of a 2020.
Right.
So I can definitely revisit that.
Right, but you're probably right.
But yeah, but. it's
But they
worth
do it
looking
by
into.
gross, not your net, except that unless you had a loss, you're disqualified.
Did they file 2020 taxes yet, or did they get extended until they fixed everything?
I don't
So
know.
when you consider your loss, do they take your appreciation and all that in there, or do you take that
I
out?
don't think so. They just go by the negative number on the bottom. But they should have filed. Unless it's a corporation, their e-file ends like the 20th of this month, tomorrow. They would have to mail it in after that, or
Right.
unless she's a corporation.
You know, like Scott says, and Mike did advise the people in the community. I talked to 5 different, nobody ever contacted you from Stanford, right? I talked to 5 different businesses.
What?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could have gone on their own.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
gave them
yeah.
the information,
Yeah.
they could have just done it.
No, there's something about the PPP that Mike Arturos, the bookkeeper in Hancock there he was working with like one of the pizza places or something, and it was just so bizarre, the information that they had to cobble together to do something with that they gave up on it.
That would have been the restaurant revitalization. grant.
Yeah,
it
The
was- that's-
PPP was pretty quick and easy.
Right,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Because I said to him, I go, is anybody applying for any of this stuff? Are you helping anybody do any of this? And he goes, yeah, some of it's, you know, went
Right.
over it with the pizza guy and he goes, forget it.
Through
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Through that revitalization grant, we've gotten one customer twice out of it. And We're trying
People-
again right now.
Sometimes people don't have the patience.
Well,
It's
she
just go
doesn't
through
have
the
the patience.
process.
We did all the work.
But when it's free money, you need to learn patience.
No, I got you.
Yeah,
I've seen folks, I did PPP 1, PPP 2, they did restaurant revitalization, they had 600 grand in their checking account.
the PPP money, we have one that got both 1 and 2, they got 250,000. They don't have to include his income. They still get to write the expenses off as a business expense, even though the government paid it. It's just unreal.
I love this country.
The amount of money that flew around in 20 and 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these contractors trying to get a contractor, they're hooked up through next year already.
I'm retired.
Did you have anything more on that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Any other old or new business?
No.
I have a couple items I wanted to just give you an FYI on. I was contacted just recently by 2 different companies. They're looking for help from us. One is Dirt Road Camp, which is pretty intriguing. It's up here in the boondocks outside of Delaware. And it's a primitive campground type business. And I'm gonna meet with them next week. I've got their business plan and I sent it to Glenn and Evan this morning. The interesting point about this one to me is that they own some quite a few acres of land. And they've been approached by BMW Motorcycles division to build a off-road motorcycle facility there for people to learn to ride
That'd be cool.
high-end, what's that?
That'd be cool.
Right, the BMWs in the woods in the Catskill Mountains. And
Probably the business plan's very good.
Yeah.
The issue becomes town, just like we had with Hilltop.
Yeah.
I know, they've been working with the town of Delhi as far as the campground is concerned. This would be just an amenity that they want to add to the campground.
Right.
So
Change your whole structure. That'd be cool.
it's an interesting thing. So I'll have more to talk about next month. The other one is Hancock General Store is open now. And it was at Ashley Rossi. It's open by with a significant other. And they're looking for a working capital, so I'll get more information on that next month.
It's about the size of this room, maybe half the size of the room. And it's, you know what the back end of the pizza place is?
Yeah.
And then there's a little tackle shop.
Yeah.
It's the tackle shop.
Oh my gosh. That is really small.
You're gonna need $500 sales per square foot. to make
You
that.
might want to check with Jim Isel on that motorcycle audit of the track. He'll probably give you a lot of what you need. He got a lot of heat from putting one up in the office.
Yeah, but this wouldn't have paved roads or anything, you know, dirt, their biggest problem is gonna be EV. Went through that.
I think you got a whole different situation here than you got in Bakersfield. It's all BMWs. And most of the bikes are gonna be furnished by BMW. And it's not the open exhaust streamers.
Oh, okay.
Right, but their biggest issue is erosion. Right. Their biggest issue is gonna be erosion.
Yeah. And
The
that's-
EMT's gonna have a big stake in that one.
Well, they've been working with the.
That's great.
So,
I think that's cool.
they've got everybody at the table.
That's great.
One of the biggest gripes that he, and you're way out in the, way out. in too close to
Yeah.
Homes, so people
Yeah.
started complaining.
Yeah, but that was the setup there, it was an airport.
Yeah, no,
It was-
I've
that
been
was-
thinking about,
That was a whole debacle.
I know.
I'm not going down that.
I didn't go.
We don't
I mean, it's one of the greatest facilities that's been built in Delaware County in quite a while. And I think there's tremendous potential that we're not using.
We haven't heard a lot about.
Yeah, I
it
know.
lately.
I know what you mean, yeah. That you're not.
We could, if we would take advantage of it.
And they're trading.
An opportunity lost, that's what it is.
Another opportunity.
Yep. Anything else? Dennis, do you have anything you want to throw at us?
Not at the moment, when the meeting's over.
All right, well, thank you, I appreciate your comment.
Yeah. We're glad to have you come. I
Okay,
wanted to make more of them, but.
well, anytime, we're always open. Then we have a motion to adjourn and let's have some lunch.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Glad you got that one in there.
Yeah.
You got one in?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.